Hey fellow air shooters, welcome back to the channel. I know you haven't seen a long form video from me in a while. I've been crazy busy doing a lot of stuff and doing a bit of traveling too. I just got back from RMAC a couple of weeks ago, which was incredibly fun. But today, I've actually been in touch with my friends over at Vevor. And if you've been watching the channel for a while, you know that me and Vevor are like peas and carrots. We're super best friends. I love those guys. So when I reached out and said, hey, you guys have a 2-cylinder shoebox compressor now? What? Like, can you send that? They were like, yes. So what we're going to do today is we're going to review that thing. I haven't even opened it up. I've had it for a few days and just wanted to kind of have the splendor of opening it up with you guys. So let's just start with what's in the box here. And I'm very interested to see this because I have not seen any other 2-cylinder shoebox compressor. I wasn't even aware that people were making one, and I think this might be the only one on the market. You can bark at me in the comments if I'm wrong on that, but it does come in a nice heavy-duty shipping box. All right, so we've got our accessories right here. Let's take a look at those real quick. So we got the fill whip with our little moisture filter on there, and it does have a test plug in there, which is cool. Okay, we've got a piston and a spring and some O-rings, some burst discs, and some foamies for the filter there. And then we've got our power cord. So, okay, that's all simple enough. Kind of typical of what you see a lot of these shoebox compressors coming with. So I'll set that over here for now. We've got a manual here. And definitely read this manual. It is only 6-7 pages. So it looks like everything is pretty self-explanatory. But if you're not familiar, definitely check out the manual. And now for the actual meat and potatoes, let's pull this thing out and get a look at it. Oh, it's quite large. Wow, okay, so that's kind of an impressive unit we have here. Tell you what, let me take that camera down and we'll take a closer look at it. Okay, so let's take a close look at this thing. So on the back here, we have the slot for our PC style power cable. And then I believe this is the fan button, so you're going to need to turn that on before you run the compressor. And it does have 2 fans. One is right there, and then the other one is right here on the other side. And this one does have the auto stop, so you can set that to your desired pressure, and it'll automatically stop once it reaches that pressure. And then, of course, we've got the temperature readout, the little thermometer there. So we definitely don't want to get this thing over, I believe, 80 degrees Celsius is when I would definitely stop, but probably a little bit before then, maybe 65 is what usually these manuals say. And you know what? Let's go over here and consult the manual and see what it says. Okay, so I was correct. So don't get it over 80 degrees centigrade and you should be good to go because it is just air cooled. Now, here's the front of the unit. So we have what we typically see on almost all these shoebox compressors, which is your output fill nipple. That's where the burst disc is. And then we have a bleeder. And then we also have another bleeder down here, which wasn't listed in the manual. So I guess maybe this is for some filtration or something. I'm not sure, but we'll close both of these before we start filling it. And then we've got the compressor button right here. And then this just says, see if I can get it in focus here for you. It just says tighten the pressure relief valve before use. After inflation is complete, please release the pressure relief valve, and then the filter tube can be removed. Okay, so let's go ahead and fire this thing up. What I'm going to do is we'll first just do a test with the dead end plug to get it up to the correct pressure, and we'll run it all the way to like 4,000 PSI or so. Make sure it holds. And also this thing is 800 watts. So that's quite a bit of power. And I have in my shed here, I am running everything off of a power cord from the house, like an extension cable. So it'll be interesting to see if 800 watts is going to be able to be used over an extension cord. And I do have a GCFI on the end of that extension cord. So if it pops the fuse, no problem. And if it does, we'll take it up to the house to run it. But let's go ahead and do a little test and see if it can get up to 4,000 PSI. And then what I'll do is I'll take my FX Panthera there. I'll get that down to 150 bar, like in all my other compressor reviews, and we'll see how long it takes to fill that thing up from 150 bar to 250 bar. Well, first things first, let's give this thing a basic pressure test. So I've got the auto stop set to 300 bar there, a little over 4,000 PSI. And with the included dead end plug, we can get this test done. So I'm going to go ahead and just make sure both of these bleeders are good to go, and then we can come over at the back, and first we're going to want to start the fans. Now keep in mind, this is an 800 watt compressor, and it's running on, you know, extension cord after extension cord after extension cord. So, you know, if you want to get in the comments and call me a ghetto hoodlum, a savage, or a goon, please feel free. I did disconnect my fridge and everything else in here just to make sure it's going to run. So here goes nothing. Let's jack those fans on. All right, so she's booting up. The temperature gauge just lit up, and fans are spinning up. So one at the back here, and one at the front. And wow, I can feel air just coming out of every orifice of this thing, and it's pretty strong. So, okay, let's see if she gets up to pressure here. Oh wow, that is fast, man. Okay. That is pretty fast, and you notice it was doing a little bit of a moonwalk there because it's absolutely ripping, and it's on my soaking wet wooden deck because it's raining out. But here's what we'll do. So that definitely got up to pressure, no problem. Now, in all these Shoebox compressor reviews, usually I get that Panthera down to 150 bar and go to 250 bar with the compressor, and I time it to see how long it goes. So usually with most Shoebox compressors, it's like 4.5 minutes. I've seen it down to like under 4 minutes on a couple of them. So does 2 cylinders mean twice as fast? I don't know. There's a lot of factors in there. RPM, other things, I'm sure. But anyway, I'm going to go plink around with that thing. I'll get it down to 150 bar. We'll use this thing to fill it back up and see how long she takes. Well, let's test this thing. So I just took my FX Panthera, I hopped in my Vevor shooting shack, and I hit my little 4-inch plate at 100 yards with all 18 rounds of this thing, and I've got it right down to 150 bar. You can see on the bottom gauge there, it's right at 150. So now we'll do the test to see how long it takes to fill this thing up. I've got a stopwatch there. We'll close these bleeders, turn the fan on. Let that thing get booted up here, and then we'll go ahead and run it. And I'll be back with you in a minute, and we'll see how long it takes. But you know what, let's watch it for a second here. All right, so it got up to pressure really quick, and I'm not going to bore you by making you sit here for several minutes while it fills, but once it starts getting up to pressure, oh wow, look at that actually. It might not be very much time at all. This is way faster than a regular Shoebox. You can just see the needle moving up. But anyway, I'll be back with you here. I'm going to pause, and then we'll come back once it's right at 250.
A few moments later.
All right, so about 1 minute and 54 seconds has elapsed, and we are right almost at 250. As soon as it hits 250, I'm going to stop the compressor. All right, there it is right there. 2 minutes and like 7 or 8 seconds. And that is all it took. So there's a new sheriff in town, and it's the Vevor dual cylinder compressor. That takes about half the time as a regular 1-cylinder compressor. Now you will notice I did swap out to an aftermarket filter. I like to use that one. I'll drop a link for that for you guys. You could actually use that plus that one and have some pretty good filtration. And ideally, I'd kind of want a bigger one than that anyway, but since we're just filling a small tank and only using it for 2 minutes, no problem. That one's going to be just fine for that, so long as you're opening it up and letting the elements dry out for a while before each fill and everything like that, because it will collect some moisture. But anyway, that is half the time, and it only got up to a little over 30 degrees. So that's pretty cool, man. And it did run on my ghetto extension cord setup here in the shed. Although I will say that a couple times I had to push the button and it didn't want to start because there wasn't enough power behind it. But eventually it did, and that just went really well in about half the time. So let's close up with some final thoughts here. Oh, but before I do, you know what, let's vent this thing. And what I'm going to do is take this off, and you guys should do this too. Try to run it and blast all the extra air and water out of there. You see that? Never leave that sitting in there. It can cause hydro lock. So now I'm going to tighten back up the bleeders. And I don't know if you saw that, a little bit more water came out. So always bleed it like that. And with these compressors, I always say in these videos, never start them up against pressure. Like, always make sure you're starting at 0 pressure. So if you let it take a break for a while, let's say it got up to 80 degrees, when you do let it take a break, vent out all the pressure first before restarting, or you will damage your compressor. Ask me how I know. But anyway, let's close up here with some final thoughts finally here. Well, let's wrap it up with some final thoughts on the Vevor 800 watt dual cylinder shoebox compressor. In a nutshell, I think this thing is freaking awesome. You guys just watched it fill that FX Panthera from 150 to 250 bar in like 2 minutes, when normally that's taking 4 to 5 minutes. So additionally, I thought I would show you guys a little bit of a comparison, because I have one of Vevor's single cylinder shoebox compressors. This is very similar to a lot of these shoebox compressors in size that you see, but the dual cylinder one, it's not even that much bigger, and it is a bit heavier, but it's not really that much bigger than the single cylinder one. And it's, I think, maybe even quieter or similar loudness. So if you're worried about that, don't be, because this thing purrs like a little kitten, and it is capable of filling bigger tanks too, because it's dual cylinder. It can do a little bit of heavier lifting, so you can easily fill a 1 liter or a 1.5 liter tank. Now, I bet you, I have a lot of experience with these compressors. I bet you could top off a scuba with one of these compressors if you did it incrementally and methodically. Now, I'm not advocating you try to do that, but somebody out there is for sure going to try it, and I think this thing could probably handle it in small doses. So just overall, with the features of this thing, you've got the auto stop, you've got the dual fans, one on the motor and one back here in the case. And when you turn those on, you can feel that air just coursing through the unit and cooling all of your components, so you don't have to worry too much about it overheating. Just make sure you stay under 80 degrees centigrade on that thermometer back here. And other than that, man, I think this thing is a win for the price. It's right about the same price as other single cylinder shoebox compressors, but it does twice the work, so you can have twice the play instead of sitting there filling all the time. Now, you guys, I do not monetize my channel through YouTube, and that means you don't sit through commercials. So I drop links for like all the products I review in my description and comment section, and that helps the channel. So if you're using those links, thank you. Don't make me have to monetize this channel now. I'll turn this car around and monetize this channel if you guys don't start using my links. But anyway, no, seriously, if you are using those links, thank you. If I have a coupon code for you guys, obviously I'll drop that down there for you. And that is what I think of the Vevor 800 watt dual cylinder shoebox compressor. Hope you thought this was helpful. We will catch you on the next one. Peace.